Now let's move on to the more advanced uses for DXP Cloud. In this section we'll cover basic configurations, advanced configurations, and deployment. So what makes it a basic configuration? These are configurations where either it is complete without any user modification, or you will essentially be able to copy and paste what you need from resources we have provided. For example, the CDN setting here. Our documentation will show that this can be set to true to enable. Copy that value in and redeploy, and you're ready to go. There are two such files that you'll use most for these configurations. The first is the LCP JSON file. Each service contains an LCP JSON file. This file is essentially the blueprint of a service. It comes configured and ready to go out of the box, but some users may benefit from making some small adjustments to tailor the service to suit their needs. For example, this file can be used to tweak the resources allotted to a service, enable Liferay clustering, or choose specific ports to utilize. It is a good idea to familiarize yourself with the default variables in case modifications are needed. Please note that just because the value is entered into the JSON file, it doesn't necessarily mean that the service will deploy. The particular project may only be allotted 16 CPU total for the associated plan, for example. So the total plan allotment should be taken into consideration when adjusting these values. The second file is the Gradle.properties file. The Gradle.properties file's main use case is to set the versions of the images in your DXP Cloud stack. Simply modify the numbers at the end of each line and redeploy to update. The images are updated regularly, and the version numbers are made available by the DXP Cloud team. Let's look at advanced configurations. These configurations may take a little more work than simply copying and pasting. You may need to evaluate the need of the feature in your environment, or do a little research, or determine what changes best fit your use case. Here are a few such configurations. Let's start with volumes. Volumes are persistent file storage for DXP Cloud. You may have wondered how you can keep deploying to DXP Cloud without overwriting your data. This is where volumes come into play. They persist the important data, such as the document library and configurations, separate from the services themselves. This means that you can make changes to your environment and redeploy without having to start over from scratch. When a volume is enabled, the data is stored in the underlying cloud storage infrastructure, instead of the service image itself. Here you can see the declaration from the LCP JSON file. The most important volumes are configured by default, but it's important to know how and where you will be able to persist data when the need arises. It is important to carefully consider the use case before creating a volume. Volumes can only be deleted by deleting the entire environment in which they were created. Next, let's look at custom domains. We've made this process as easy as possible, but it will take some configurations in your domain provider settings to complete. To set up a custom domain, simply create an A record and point it to your unique IP that is provided in the Network tab. After that, navigate to the Custom Domains tab and add the domain to your list. Now your custom domain points to your DXP instance. Lastly, the CDN. You might be wondering why this appears in the basic and advanced configurations. In a sense, it is a little bit of both. The setup is very simple, but determining the need for this feature may take additional work. Your DXP Cloud environment comes with its own CDN, Content Delivery Network. It uses Google Cloud's CDN solution, which operates caches at more than 90 locations around the world. By default, CDN is turned on for the web service on prod and UAT environments, but you can also turn it on for other environments in the LCP JSON file. Deploying to DXP Cloud is simple. Once you have an account and an environment, setup takes 4 steps. Step 1 is to make your code changes and commit them using Git. To do this, you start by cloning the repository provided by the DXP Cloud team to your local machine. Then you commit your changes, and finally you push those changes back to GitHub. When the changes arrive in GitHub, you'll see this green button allowing you to create a pull request. Click this to create the pull request and send the code changes onto Jenkins for testing. Jenkins will build and begin running automated tests. Once the process is complete, your changes will then be sent to DXP Cloud. The completed build will appear in the Builds tab in Console. From here, you can simply select the 3 dots by the build that you want to deploy and click Deploy Build To. Choose your environment from the drop-down and deploy the build. That's it.